Oh, Loop, you absolute fucker. Okay, so before I continue, I need to establish something, because if I don't, I know someone will complain about it in the comments. I am not a fan of My Little Pony. I've tried watching it on several occasions, and I just don't get it. I don't understand the mass appeal of this toddler-centric horse show, and frankly, I don't care to know. That said, if I get any of the information in this video wrong, like if some of my criticisms are actually thoroughly explained in the show, just know that I don't care. I'm not watching a 9-season long show designed to entertain 7-year-old girls so I can better explain the complexities of this online horror story. There's just not enough time in the day. So hey, the cough is a story that exists, right? Let's talk about it. Because one of you hates me with an unsettling passion, apparently. So I remember hearing about this story a couple times many years ago alongside other My Little Pony creepypastas that were popular at the time, like Cupcakes. Man, the 2010s were really a punishment for mankind's sins, weren't they? Anyway, this story seemingly is held in pretty high regard amongst other My Little Pony creepypastas, for all that's worth. So my hopes going into this one are slightly higher than they usually are going into these reviews. Also, real quick before we start, I'm aware that this story is technically not a creepypasta, and is rather a fanfiction like Cupcakes was, but I also know that this story was a fan suggestion, so I don't care. I'll be covering this story as if it was a creepypasta, because like Ben Drowned and Slenderman, technically the title is not accurate, but no one cares. Just go with it. It's not a big deal, honestly. Anyway, enough filler, let's get into this shit. Before I start, this story is on the Ponypasta wiki, and if I ever need an argument for why sentience was a mistake, this is it. Anyway, the story begins with some pony, kill me, coughing in a dark room with no windows, and one of the ponies, the one on screen, freaking the fuck out over it. This is because in this story, the land of Equestria, the equivalent of calling Earth Homoland, has been plagued by a zombie outbreak, and the only warning sign an infected individual displays before becoming a murderous cannibal is a cough. Before you ask, this disease is apparently immune to magic somehow, just don't think about it too much. But yeah, the other ponies in the room remain silent, not wanting to confess having the symptom, because, as it's explained, all infected individuals must be killed to prevent the disease from spreading. One of the ponies, the one on screen, asks why it matters if someone coughed, and Twilight Sparkle, whose name definitely doesn't dissolve all the tension this story had, tells her to get serious because it'd be better for one of them to die instead of all of them. One of them, this yellow one, brings up a good point when she suggests that they could just wait to see if it was a cold or something. But inadvertently kind of fucks up the ending because, spoiler, they don't wait and murder someone who confesses. But really, if they just waited and with the room illuminated for like 5 minutes, this would have never happened. Anyway, putting common sense aside for a moment, Twilight says they need to act fast and kill the infected member before they become a zombie and murder everyone. And everyone agrees, but no one confesses to having it. The rainbow hair pony complains about the same shit I talked about earlier regarding magic, but is shot down by Twilight, who then accuses her of stalling. The rainbow one is about to defend herself, but the other one, who is on the screen now, confesses to having coughed. Rainbow Dash, god these fucking names, denies that her friend is the infected pony, but the others don't really hesitate to condemn her to death. Like, for real, not even one of them shows a second of hesitation. Ruthless as fuck. Twilight then tells Dash that she's going to be the one that has to kill her friend, because of something about her not letting anyone else do it, and they don't have any weapons, she's gonna have to beat her to death. So Fluttershy, the yellow one, puts her head up against a wall willingly, and tells Rainbow Dash that she loves her, and Rainbow Dash tells her that she loves her too. Then Twilight turns off the light, and Dash kicks her in the head really fucking hard to kill her. Oh, did you think it'd be that easy? Is this your first My Little Pony creepypasta? The people that watch this show are bloodthirsty creatures. So yeah, Fluttershy isn't dead, and moans in pain, causing Rainbow Dash to have to kick her in the head repeatedly until she's actually dead. And then the pony sits down in silence, and for a while absorbing what had just occurred. Until, in the darkness, one of them coughs. Man, you know, for a creepypasta about ponies, that was actually a pretty effective ending, leaving the reader with a sense of dread and misery as the realization that the real infected individual kept quiet as their friend took the blame for them. Wait, there's more? Yeah, so after that really effective ending, Rainbow Dash is immediately shot by the white pony, who then tries to play it off like Rainbow Dash was the one that coughed. But then she coughs and then gets decapitated by the apple pony. Then the dead ponies come back to life. Then the magic pony runs out of the room, grabs a fucking kitchen knife, which would have been really useful when, you know, her friend had to kill her other friend with her bare hands, and then kills the other ponies. Then she kills the apple one and the pink one because they had gotten bitten by the undead ponies. Then she burns them somehow and promises to give them a proper burial. And then she coughs. Dun dun dun. Well, that was a shit way to end that story, huh? Okay, to be fair, after checking the comment section, it appears that the last part of the story was actually edited in. And the original ended where I'm guessing most of you remember it with the second cough in the darkness. I just wanted to read the last bit because it's really funny how the quality just sank like the Titanic in the end bit. So, after nearly a decade, how does this story hold up objectively? Well, I have a surprising amount to say about this story, both good and bad. So without further delay, let's jump into what I like about this pony story. Man, this is what I chose to make videos about, huh? So this story, unlike every other story I've covered on this show so far, has a pretty good sense of atmosphere and does a really good job at building up dread and tension within it, which is fairly impressive given its rather short length. The way it describes its characters in the room is fairly well done as well, though it's definitely better in the first bit of the story opposed to the latter half. Either way, it remains rather effective throughout. The idea of this disease is also pretty fun as well, as it takes the classic zombie outbreak and adds to it with the concept of the cough being a warning sign that someone is infected. It sets up this scenario that the story revolves around really well, in my opinion, and the author does a pretty good job exploring said scenario. And ignoring what appears to be a fan edit, the last sentence is a wonderful way to cap off this story. It's a classic horror punchline that has pretty dark implications for the characters throughout the story and in the future. Frankly, it's one of my favorite horror punchlines in creepypastas in general, so that gives this story some props in that regard. Now that I've covered what I like about this story, let's get to what I know you cynical bastards want to hear, the bad parts. Oh yeah, let's talk about that. So the first problem, let's just get this one out of the way because it's pretty obvious. This story is about colorful fucking horses that talk. And it reminds you throughout that it is indeed about cartoon ponies named shit like Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie. All the tension and build-up I mentioned in the good section essentially evaporates as soon as I'm reminded that the characters in this horrific scenario are My Little Pony characters. Like this setup, a group of characters bunkered down in a room during the zombie apocalypse trying to figure out which one of them is infected is genuinely a spectacular premise. It would have been infinitely more effective if this story was about a group of people, because with these fucking ponies being the cast, I'm immediately taken out of the story. When I'm reading about how one character is brutally beating their friend to death, I want to feel that emotionally. I don't want to have to think about how there's definitely some degenerate brony out there beating it to the thought of Fluttershy's head being smashed against a wall. Okay, got that out of my system. Let's talk about the other problem I have with this story, which I mentioned during the story portion of the video. This situation, where they need to kill the infected individual immediately and end up killing the wrong person, seems entirely avoidable. Like, person coughs immediately after Fluttershy's head is turned into mashed potatoes. They could have just waited there for literally a minute longer with the light on, and the infected individual would have revealed themselves. It's never really specified that those who are infected turn into zombies only after like 1 or 2 coughs, so I don't really see a problem with this strategy. I know this is somewhat nitpicky to point out, but when your story hinges on them killing an infected individual, something like this should at least be explained away, right? So, those are my major gripes with the story and what I like about it. So what is my final verdict on this pony pasta? And how does it compare to stories I've covered in the past? Enough beating around the bush. Let's get this over with so I can stop talking about animated zombie horses. As shocking as this may sound, I firmly believe that this story is easily the best one I've covered on the show so far. Like, it's not even close. The concept and execution of this story is miles above previous stories I've mentioned, especially in terms of atmosphere and tension. It has claimed to one of the best horror punchlines in creepypasta history. With that said, I wouldn't call this story particularly good. The cast of characters and the lack of common sense do their damnedest to destroy whatever tension and atmosphere the story has going for it. No matter how thick an atmosphere you build and how good a concept you have, if your plot revolves around Rainbow Dash Mercy killing Fluttershy, the build-up is going right out the fucking window. I give it 4.5 out of 10. Almost average, but there's just enough wrong with it to hold it back from breaking past the mediocrity barrier. If this story had been about people, not ponies, and had explained why they couldn't just keep the fucking light on for a minute, then we'd be looking at a solid 6. As it stands, however, this is the best I can do. Now please, never suggest I do a fucking pony story ever again. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into this old school creepypasta. As always, leave a like, comment below, and subscribe. If you'd like to have a story read, drop a suggestion down below. and I'll get to it eventually. Next week, we'll be going back into familiar territory as I talk about a story that's perplexed me for years now. All right, see you guys later.